experience. I'm like total noob at this, but just wanted to say hi and actually introduce my cohort who's going to help me walk me through this because he has way more experience than I do. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Matt Heafy. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, so basically it's nice and chill. We've got everybody watching us right now on my
And I
channel.
can't hear anything.
Oh, okay, check. Oh, there we
I
go.
can't.
Check.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
there
there
we
you
go.
go.
Hey, there
There
we
it
go.
is.
Oh, there's basically with Twitch, there's always something. There's always some kind of technical something, no matter what, without fail. Always. But it's not because of Twitch, because it's live, and that's what makes it so much riskier. That's what makes it so much tougher. The stakes are higher, which leads me to a really good point. You've got a show coming up. Tell us some of the details. Tell us the date. Tell us the site. Tell us all the information. What's happening with that?
October 2nd of this year, we are playing a live stream from the Forum in Los Angeles, California. And it's called Corey Taylor, Forum or Against Him. Right, exactly. I mean, and that it started as a joke between me, between me and Tooch, my guitar player. And then all of a sudden, the seriousness of it all really started to kick in. And we were looking for a place to do a live stream from. We were like, well, hell, let's shoot for the moon. And we were able to throw it together, and it is almost 2 hours of full pyro, full production, full band. We play the new album CMFT in its entirety. Do a handful of songs that I've written for Slipknot and Stone Sour, a bunch of covers that we wanted to play. It's an absolute rock and roll party that you cannot miss. It's ridiculous.
Heck yes. I can't wait for it. How did the new album come together?
I mean, the new album came together pretty easy, I mean, you know how it is. As a songwriter, you're constantly writing stuff that sometimes you look at it and you go, well, this doesn't feel like a Trivium tune, So you kind of set it to the side and you're like, well, maybe someday I'll find a world for that. Well, I've been doing that for 20 plus years, usually the stuff that I write is very easily slid in with, Slipknot or Stone Sour. And but there's always that stockpile of tunes that just didn't fit with either band, just had more of a weird, kind of a, club night rock and roll vibe to it, or, something a little greasier, so I would just kind of stick it to the side and go, maybe someday, this will find a home. And it literally got to the point where when I was thinking about doing a solo album, I was like, well, what would it sound like? And I kind of turn and I go, well, I guess it would sound like that, so it literally, the rest is history.
That's awesome. Why do you find now a right time for a record? Like when we were about to release our record during the State of the Planet, everyone kept saying, should you delay it? You guys up for delaying? Because we're cool with it if you do. But obviously you didn't do that. We didn't do that either. So why did you say, I'm not gonna wait for this?
I mean, honestly, we just kind of moved it because I was going to do this in January, February of next year anyway. And I didn't want to wait on it. We were all kind of stoked on putting the songs together, and we were just, we're just excited. We were just really stoked to get into the studio and record it. So I was just like, you know what? I'd rather be working than not. Mm-hmm. I'd rather be, especially if I can do it at home in Vegas. Have the guys come in safely, smartly, do it right. And I mean, it just made most sense to do it if you've got the time, you're doing everything as safely as you can, and you're not hurting anyone, And plus, it felt like the right time to put something like this together, man. Like something fun, something loose that doesn't feel so gnarly. I mean, the world is gnarly as it is, Like the last thing I want to do is throw a gas can on a brush fire that's already out of control. I want to try and turn the hoses on it, and calm it down a little bit. So that's what the spirit of this album is. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a little more positive, a little more chill, like an album that you can just put on and go, you know what, maybe everything's going to be all right.
That's awesome.
I don't know, but we'll just see. So
That's awesome. I love that. I love that because I look at it like it's a responsibility of the two of us, like we've always been doing, showing our fans and our supporters, giving them like the right messages and our opinions, but also giving that escape. And that's
right,
what I love about what you just said there, because that's like what I mean. Trivium, we're kind of on like a break right now, but with the channel, you and I were talking about the Twitch channel. That's what I
right,
look about this channel. Like it's the escape. It's whether it's their pub or their therapist couch, or it's their punching bag, or it's something. It's a good laugh. It's a time to disconnect away from all that stuff. And I know this is a bizarre as hell segue, but I feel like that's why, because I was talking to you about it yesterday, that's why people are gravitating towards games like Fall Guys and Among Us. And they're not telling me to bring this stuff up, but I feel like as you and I were talking about that, I'm like, well, why the hell is that happening? But I think it's because people want a true disconnect. And I think that your show is going to really bring that. And I love that the record is more about, all right, this is about a good time. And the show's going to be about a good time. It's not going to be about focusing in on this, but instead focusing on ourselves and reminding ourselves what we can get back to if we do this, if we collectively as a planet do this correct.
right. Yeah, and that's exactly it, man. I mean, at the end of the day, we're entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
If we're weighing people down with too much BS, they're going to tune out because they want that release. I mean, there's a reason that a lot of a lot of pop music is so popular is because there's really no, and this is not a dig, but it is. It's not deep. Like people, it's music that you don't have to think to, basically. If you want to twerk or do some weird, dance, that's the stuff you go to. And that's what people want because the noise is so insane that they don't want anything that's too serious right now. And that's kind of what this album is. It's a way, it's not super dull. It's contemplative, but it's fun. It's fun in an old school rock and roll way. Like you don't have to have a degree in philosophy to get into this album. And sometimes that's what you need. You just need a bunch of junk food choruses, popcorn verses, and just get into it, man.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. And plus, because most of your time anyway, with your other two bands, you're doing that. You're delivering the message that makes them have to think. So this is like as much for you as a release it is for the listener then.
Oh, very much. Absolutely. We had so much fun doing this and so much fun me and the band just have so much fun playing anyway that it's like watching a bunch of dorks kind of smack around.
That's awesome.
It really is, man. I mean, me and these guys, we've been friends for, almost 20 years. And the more we hang out with each other, how did I say it the other day? I was like, our inside jokes have inside jokes now. Like it's that level.
Inception.
Exactly. So it's like there's levels to the the idiocy, really.
That's awesome. Well, who played on the record? I'm curious who's on there.
Guitar players were Christian Martucci, who played with me in Stone Sour, but he's been doing it for years. Zach Throne, who's been in the business for a very long time. My best friend Jason Christopher plays bass. And then Dustin Robert, who plays with Walls of Jericho and Premonition of War, he played drums. So it's just basically a bunch of people who I've jammed with over the years for just getting together and playing the kind of the kind of rock and roll that we've been doing in cover bands forever. Like just trying to create a party atmosphere. But at the same time, throwing every style at each other. It's like this album isn't linear at all. I mean, it's such a diverse kind of set of gymnastics for styles and genres and things like that you miss that in the fact that all the songs are just really good. So it's really kind of a lesson in what you can do if you stop concentrating on the genre and just focus on the song. And I think that was the most fun with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. This gets me more thinking about, too, what we were talking yesterday. I'm not putting you on the spot in front of the people that are here. But I think just hearing what you said today, that's what I do with my channel. And I can just picture you with your channel because I've seen your acoustic sets and I love your acoustic shows so much. And I imagine that the show's going to have that kind of vibe at times. Yeah. And that's all that's all the people want from this. And I think that that's going to be so cool to see that up on the forum stage and to see what you feel about potentially trying this. Like, you're like, you know what, I'm gonna try today. Try like, hey, kids, give me some requests of like, how can I play a Slipknot song? Because I've even done that stuff. Like, people said, all right, here's a Slipknot idea, but play it like this. That's why I've
Right.
done like bizarre, like taking old Slipknot stuff and making it like sound happy and like singing,
Right.
just like
Right.
you've done. And I've seen those
Yeah.
shows. I think that's super fun. Sorry, you might have covered it in the beginning, but I'm not quite sure. When did you guys do this record?
Oh,
Like when and where?
uh, we started end of March. I mean, it only took us 2.5 weeks to record it. We did 25 songs in 2.5 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah, that was ridiculous, dude. We did all 13 originals. Then we went in and we did 13 acoustic, or excuse me, we did 13 originals and then 6 acoustic versions of some of those originals, and then we did 6 covers just because we could,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. We did all of that in 2.5 weeks. We recorded everything live, so it was just so basically the only things that we overdubbed were solos and vocals, and that was it. I mean, all the music was done in the room together, like
That's
playing.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was so rad, man. I had like visions of like Exile on Main Street, where like everybody's in the room and like there's like crazy stuff going on. You could just feel the vibe in it, man. It was rad.
That's so awesome.
So yeah, March, April of this year, we kicked it down, and then yeah, I mean, just basically sent it in. We've been sitting on it ever since.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, it's another thing that, well, I feel bad because I keep bringing up this stuff that you and I talked about yesterday, but I think it's fine for
Man,
them.
no, absolutely, that's perfect.
I love how you are one of the busiest people I've ever seen in the music industry, and I feel like I try to be busy as well. And I think that it's what keeps. I notice it's what keeps me sane. Like, I know I'm a super high anxiety person, and the thing that keeps that anxiety either cured or just at bay is doing as much as possible. And I
Right.
feel like it's so nice to talk to somebody who is putting themselves into this many things at all times as well. And
Yeah.
it just makes me want to go, like, because you and I have talked about it way back, like 10 years ago or so. We need to do a jam someday.
Right.
And it also reminded me of that sushi restaurant you took me out to in Australia that was like Blade Runner themed.
Yeah.
That was such a killer place. I can't remember the name, but it was on Anthony Bourdain's show. That's where we got the idea, and you took us out there. I just thought about that. It's not really a question. I just remembered that just now.
No, it's absolutely, man. The thing that compels us is, I think it's 3 things. It's one, it's the creativity of it, because we have so many fluid ideas that are just popping at all times. Because with me, it's usually when I'm at the peak of like my manic state, because I suffer from depression. So obviously, it's up and down for me. My depressive moments are getting shorter. I feel. So my downtime is usually not so bad, but it really gets to the point where I have to take advantage of all the time that I have, because you just never know when that's going to crest and you're going to run out of that crazy energy.
Hmm.
So I try to take advantage of that. So it's the creativity, it's managing the anxiety, like you say, which sometimes can trigger my depression. But it's also my wish to just leave as much behind as possible. Like, it's a gift to be able to do this anyway.
Hmm.
Why not try to leave this legacy and really kind of show that, you know, hard work, talent, and creativity, and you can build a world inside of itself. And you don't have to be the biggest star in the world. You don't have to be, you don't have to have, paparazzi following you around everywhere, but you can make great music, you can make a great living, you can create all of this cool stuff, and you can and be super happy about it, man. But it just keeps feeding that hunger. So yeah, I mean, it's I'm just lucky that I still get to do it. And I'm the first to admit it, man. But I think it's because I've never been satisfied with the last thing that I've done.
Hmm. Absolutely. And it's, I've said this stuff to you guys, but this is more for the chat, for the people listening. I remember when I was 13, and someone passed me this record, like, you got to check this Slipknot record out. I remember that's when I had super long hair, and I'd hide my headphones underneath my hair and listen to the first record during all of my classes. I just sit there, just listen to it all the time. Actually, the first song Trivium ever played live ever was Sick. Like, that was the first song. Like,
I think you told me that. Yeah.
At Lake Brantley High School Ballad Bands. I was in 8th grade, so I was actually a middle school kid playing with the high school band Trivium. So, like, that through all the way where we are now and be able to have this conversation, see things like Knotfest. Like, we've been able to play multiple Knotfests with you guys, see what Slipknot has built, see what you built personally. That kind of stuff has inspired even a band like us so much to see, like, all right, you guys are doing exactly what you love. You're doing what you believe in the way you want to, because we've seen the other side of it. We've seen the people that, all right, this song has to be made exactly like this, and we have to answer to this, basically, this board and this, like, a system. But the fact that you guys are doing it legitimately the way you want to do it, and you're doing your stuff the way you want to do it, is so encouraging to bands like us. Because it's like, all right, we don't have to. You don't have to succumb. You can keep making what's honestly from you. So thank you so much for, like, since I was 13 to now, still providing that example. And the fact that I feel like, you're still one of the heroes of all of ours and mine as well. But to be able to call you a peer and a friend is such an encouraging thing for me, and be able to do this has been really cool.
Well, don't make me.
Sorry, but it's so encouraging. It really is. I hope you know that. It's so encouraging.
I appreciate that more than you know. It's, I mean, you never know in this business. You never know how things can go. The fact that we've been able to inspire guys like you and countless people and countless bands in different genres too, man. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it was the last thing on our minds when we started this shit. It was, we were dudes in a basement in the middle of nowhere, trying to figure out how to harness this noise that was in our heads, man. And that was really it. We were so bummed out about the music that we wanted to be a certain way, that we just decided nobody's going to make it. We're going to have to make it ourselves, And, obviously it took some luck. It took a lot of talent, but it also took a ton of work, man. So, and that burned us out hard. We had our trials. We had our tribulations. We had our ups and downs. But it's been a good ride, man. I wouldn't change anything. I'd maybe change one thing, but it's one of those things where it's better than I ever thought it could be. Like, I didn't want it. Like, at first I was like, yeah, I want all the money and all that crap. And I was like, I see what that does to people, man. I've seen dudes on both sides. I've seen them in the beginning, and I've seen them when they peak, and they're so different. And then when they crash, dude, it's brutal. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, and I certainly wouldn't wish that on a friend. But it's dark what that stuff can do. So I'm very fortunate to have I've had my own issues, but I've been able to kind of keep it, controllable. I've reined myself in. I've caught myself, and I've learned every time I've learned. So it's crazy, and we're still doing it. So it's like, God, we gotta be doing something right.
It's so great, man. Yeah, because for a band like our size, because I consider our band like right in the middle of the sizes of bands, and to look around, they're really. I mean, I could think of. You guys are kind of it. Slipknot is kind of it, the one that's really flying the flag properly as far as the way bands like us through Behemoth, through Fit for Autopsy, like all those bands like middle and kind of all around that size see it. And I know that's a huge responsibility, but like I'm so happy it's you guys and not someone else. And that's kind of like that's something that me and my band will talk about, but that's kind of a separate point. But I do like a lot as well. I was talking to Tom Baron Corbin about this. I know you know him as well. I feel like the three of us have this vibe, and I've always gotten this vibe from you as well. And I believe I have the vibe. I believe he has the vibe, where people can relate to us so easily. Like this. Like they could talk to us like here. They can be on our socials. They could feel like they'd be able to hang out with us, sit around the couch with us. Whereas when we're up on stage, we do our thing. We're the kind of that untouchable figure up there, but we could still come down and we still are a human. And I love that so much that you've always had that. Baron has that, and I believe that I have that. So yeah, it's just a really cool thing that to reflect on the point of what you had, to see people who've gotten super huge and what it's done and what has happened on the crash. Because I've seen a little bit of that as well. What it can, how it can change.
What's rad about that is that extends beyond us as well. Let me tell you one of the coolest moments I've ever had. Alice Cooper, who I'd met a handful of times, knew me by name, like freaked me out, right? Like, I mean, it's fucking Alice Cooper, you know? Like, he was one of the nicest men I've ever met, you know? And I never forgot that. So a couple years ago, I'm at the Kerrang Awards. They gave me an icon award, which was really weird. You know, like I was like, yeah, all right. So I'm there with Alicia. We hadn't gotten married yet, and Griffin, and you know, we're dressed in our best and whatever, and Alice was there because he and Johnny Depp were giving an award to Joe Perry because they were doing the Hollywood Vampires at the time. I saw him in passing. I didn't really get over and say hello. I got to see Dave Vanian though, which was rad, dude. I mean, freaking out, like shaking, rad, you know, because I've been like a big Damned freak like since I was a kid. We leave. We all go out to dinner. We go to Nobu, and in London. And who comes over to our table but Alice Cooper, his wife, just because to say hi because he had seen me at the show and didn't get a chance to say hi. And I, dude, thinking about it, like I freak out, man. Like he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it was just the fact that I have so much respect for that man. And the fact that he would, you know, do that, you know, like when guys like that do that, it
it's
you know?
incredible. You talking about a Kerrang story reminded me the first time we were at the Kerrang was in 05. We're all sitting at our table like, this is pretty crazy. I feel a tap on my shoulder. I look to the side and it's Dave Grohl. He's like, hey, just want to let you know I got Ascendancy. It's freaking awesome. Gave me the horns and walked away. We're just like, what? Like, it's just so amazing. Yeah, like when Alice did that, when Dave did that, like how it can really stick with you like that. And it's just such a cool thing.
Yeah. And it just reinforces my mantra, which is it takes 5 extra seconds to get yourself together to be cool to whoever is there, whether it's a fan or a peer or whatever. I've had, you know, we've all had bad moments, but
I've had them.
At the same time, you know, everybody's human, and it takes just that extra second to get yourself together to make someone's life for the rest of their life, you know? And that's one of the reasons why I think we're still here, is because we realize that there are a lot of dudes who they put themselves on a self-imposed pedestal, and they expect people to kiss their ass. They expect people to just treat them a certain way, and when they don't get treated that way, they throw fits and they just lose their minds instead of being able to relate to people. You know, as soon as you do that, you stop being able to relate to people. You stop being able to just have a normal conversation. It then becomes a list of talking points that you're just trying to get through. You know, for whatever it is you think is your reality. And that's so, A, it's sad. B, it's incredibly dehumanizing. And C, it makes no sense when you're trying to make music or do whatever it is, because there's a certain amount of humanity that has to come into the creativity. So if you lose who you are, you lose respect, you lose civility, where the hell are we, man? You know?
Exactly. And that's why I'm so happy that, back to that point I brought up earlier, that it is guys like yourself and it is guys like me that love what we're making. Like you said with Slipknot, the early idea is making the music that you wanted to hear. And that's what I didn't know that that's how you quoted with the music that you make, but that's how we've always said with Trivium for ourselves. Right. When people have asked, like, why do you make it sound like this? We're like, well, we didn't have fans, so we made what we felt like didn't exist. And that's at the heart of that original creation. I think that's such an exciting thing.
Yeah. No, it's the best. It's the best way to approach it, because if you're not, then you're just retreading what's already been done.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of, and it depends on the style too.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes if you just want to be the best AC/DC band you can be, then you
Do
by
it.
God,
Yep.
get out there and you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such a great band to emulate because it's all vibe. It's all, it's just that there's a primal rock to it, but you're never going to be AC/DC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Angus and Malcolm and Brian and they created something that can be, you can aim at it, but you never get there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they are who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's stuff like that reminds me that it's much more challenging, intriguing, and fulfilling to try and aim for something that's never been done before, because that's, you can do homages like on this album, on my new album. I have songs that hint at stuff like that. There's a tune that is my homage to Bon Scott, AC/DC. There's a tune that is a mashup of Slade and Motley Crue. There's a tune on there that is basically rockabilly Thin Lizzy with a Pantera riff in there. Like, I mean, it's stuff like that because that's what I wanted to do, But to me, that's not the only trajectory that I wanted to go on. Like I wrote those tunes because I wanted to do a certain type of song, and that's just what filled in the blanks for me, So when you kind of come at it from that point of view, it's a nod. It's not a direct rip. So I guess it just depends on what your thought process is, your intentions are, like if it's meant to show respect, then sometimes it can work wonders and you can make something really cool.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I guess we should circle back to the show. So what can fans expect from the Forum show?
So I'm really stoked because I'm doing a lot of things live that I've never done before. I'm playing piano.
Oh, damn.
Which,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
man. I spent the better part of 3 years teaching myself how to play. And I've gotten pretty good, man. Like I can make my way around the keyboard, and I know where all the chords are, the keys are, the notes are. I've gotten pretty adept at it, and but I'm still nervous as hell,
That's awesome.
But the whole reason I really started diving into it was because I'd written a song called "Home" for my wife, that's on the album, and I wanted to be able to play it myself. Like I didn't want to have somebody else play it. I wanted to be able to play it myself. So I took the time and really worked my ass off to be able to get really good at it. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna play that song, and then we're gonna work into Zizix, which I've never played as a full band before live.
Cool.
I'm pretty stoked.
That's awesome.
Other than that, playing guitar a lot, playing acoustic. Just kind of running all over. There's fire, there's explosions, there's there's cryo, there's all kinds of stuff. And the sweet culmination is doing a very special version of CMFT, and my wife's dance troupe comes out and
damn,
do a whole, dude, it's
you're going all out, man.
Insane. Yeah, I mean, we've got aerial, they're doing fire, they're dancing, like it's out of control. Like
That's
there's
amazing.
no room on that stage for anybody else. It's loaded. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, man. I wanted it to be a show that just keeps peaking, just keeps building and building and building and building, just like those old rock shows from the past. My whole dream for being a solo artist is to be a little bit Springsteen, a little bit Metallica, where you never know what you're going to get every night. If you come see my show, it could be totally different by the time I walk on stage. Like we're just going to do something. We're going to entertain. We're going to make sure that that the crowd goes, God, that was different than the last time I saw him. Like that's my goal. That's my vision, just to keep it so alive that it's live.
That's awesome. I love that. Now the questions that they gave was I want to get some from the chat as well. So I'm gonna tell them first, chat, give me some questions for Corey, but I want to give you one from like the pre-planned stuff. I'm pulling a couple out of both. Are you now this I feel like it's a preemptive question. Are you planning more live streams?
I'm thinking about it. I mean, it all depends on how well this one goes, man. I would love I have an idea, if I can pull it off, to do a couple of shows, maybe some more intimate stuff from like a couple of mom and pop clubs around the country, because I know they're hurting right now, to try and raise some money for to kind of help them keep the lights on, just to ride this out as long as possible, just so I can help. I mean, you know how it is. We came up playing all these places. You got to know the people who work there. You got to know the neighborhoods around that area. You got to know the cities, how to get there, how to get in. You knew the streets that you were going to take to get there. It felt like home. So to see this, that industry, that whole stretch, that whole grid really be threatened because of this, it bums me out, because I know that the next generation is not going to have that if it gets too bad, So I'm thinking about doing stuff like that, and trying to do something, or at least finding various charities that are trying to help those organizations, and donating as much as I can. Yeah, I mean, it's important, if we want to keep rock and roll and metal and punk alive, man. It's the bloodstream, that's the nervous system, that's the whole, it's the makeup, it's the system that pumps the blood in and keeps us alive. So we can't let that go.
Absolutely. I got a really good question here. This is from Sweared, who's one of my moderators on my channel, who I play games a lot. But he said, how do you balance Slipknot stuff with the solo stuff, with the Stone Sour stuff, and everything else you got going on? Just going off of what was established earlier, because of how busy you are.
It's a great question. It really kind of comes down to prioritizing. Whatever project I'm working on at the time, that's my focus. And it just, you can dabble in the other stuff and try to do stuff on your downtime as much as possible. But it really, if you stretch yourself out too thin, you will lose your mind. And I've found myself in that situation a couple different times.
Me too.
It will trip you out. You know how it is.
Yep.
It exhausts you, and it sucks you out of your real life as well. So and it's, when you've got kids, when you've got a wife, and you've got a home life, you have to prioritize. You have to make sure that, this is this time, this is that time, and this is that. So that's really it. I try you, and you also have to give yourself a minute to just do nothing. Because if you don't, you're going to freak out.
Yep.
I luckily am a voracious reader, so I read a lot. I watch movies. I play piano. I chill. I do. So you have to give your brain some recess, as it is, or you will tax yourself out, and you'll find yourself going, why can't I think of anything? It's because you're tapped out, man. You've got to let yourself recharge.
Yep. Yeah. The other day I had an email from, I love our management so much. I love 5B's the best. I had an email from some basically homework, interview assignments that wasn't because of them. It's because it was going as our press people try to make our bands bigger and all that stuff. Yep. And just with all the stuff I go on, I looked at it, I was like, and I had to tie a bow tie for this photo shoot I wanted to do. I couldn't tie the bow tie, and I had a freaking panic attack trying to tie a freaking bow tie. I was like, I went in the other room. I was like, Ashley, I can't breathe. She's like, sit down. Screw the bow tie. We're gonna move this thing, because I imposed a photo shoot for this for my side band. We're talking about side projects, and
right.
I'm normally very, very good with prioritizing. This is the time for this. This is the time for that. But my side project, it has been worked on for 10 years, and finally the record's coming out next year. But it's been a 10-year process. Wow. And I finally got all the pieces together. It's actually going to be all because I've always loved Norse mythology. I've always loved Viking culture. And I've always
Right.
wanted to write about that stuff. I've loved the music that's all about that. Amon Amarth and bands that go into that, or early black metal stuff.
Right, right, right.
But I have no Scandinavian in my blood. I'm mostly Japanese. So I've been working on this project with Ishan from Emperor, who's one of my musical heroes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's been producing and co-writing it for 10 years with me. So that comes out hopefully beginning of the year of next year. And I mentioned the Vikings thing, and he's like, why don't you write about your Japanese stuff? I started looking in. I was like, oh, yeah, my back piece is about the Japanese storm god vanquishing an 8-headed serpent in the sea. And so the whole thing is like Japanese black metal, basically. I'm going into all these historical Japanese gods and goddesses and monsters. And yeah, so it's going to be fun. So that thing's finally.
I want to hear that. I really want to.
It's a lot of fun. And Ishan told me, he's like, now my challenge to you is you cannot scream like you've screamed in Trivium at all, and you cannot sing like you've sung in Trivium at all. So I had to find like new voices. I was like, I don't know how the hell to do that. But finally we did it. But so 5B, I love you. That's not because you're a press thing, but it's because the self-imposed things that people like you and I do.
Save space. You can talk. You can tag them. Because I just did it last week. I was like, because they did the same thing to me.
I
and
love them so much.
I'm gonna make this very clear. You're killing me.
I love you guys so much, Jenny and Mario. I love you so much. But it was the bow tie. It was the photo shoot I gave myself. Just it's stuff that you and I do.
Right.
We just self-imposed things. But I love it. I love it. And it's so good to talk to somebody that puts themselves in those same things, because what's cool is like all the people watching right now, all these people are having an amazing time. They keep saying like, what a cool combo this is. And that's like what you've done for so many. And I feel like I've done for so many. And it's great to see us keep doing that. And I feel like the show is even more of that.
Right.
That's coming
right.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're so, it's never lost on me how lucky I am. You know, as much smack as I talk and how braggadocious I can be sometimes. Yeah, I'm the great big mouth. Yeah, I get it. I'm also a kid who grew up in a trailer, man, and a kid who was homeless, and a kid who almost died like 6 times, man. I mean, it's that this life is not lost on me. And I'm, you know, if I ever come off as unappreciative, not only of the fans, but of just the opportunities that I have, then I'm just in a bad mood that day, because it will never be lost on me just how lucky I am to be able to do this. You know, this is a gift, and I pray that I never look that gift in the face, you know?
I mean, you've done nothing but ever provide good example and entertainment for all of us. Like, everyone's just freaking stoked. And I just keep saying, everyone's saying,
you know, early 2000s were a bit of a blur for me.
It's all good. I was a piece of crap in my when we first showed up in the world.
All I remember. I say is that I'm so glad there was no social media then. And there's no real photographic evidence. There's a little bit of video from the Volume 3 run when I ran on stage, pretty much buck naked with Unearthed, and I had what was called the rhino horn kind of wrapped around it, and I was so out of shape. Oh, it was so bad, dude. And I don't even want to talk about it. Talk about it.
Amazing. I mean, I guess that's what you have to do, though. Like, you have to grow up into it. And that was for us. Like, when we first came out, Ascendancy started doing well, and we noticed like a couple, like the UK was the only place that liked us when we came out.
Right.
And we were on magazine covers. We're like, yeah, we're going to be the biggest band in the world. Next thing we got home and every band hated us. We're like, oh crap, what did we do? Yeah. But that's, you know, it's gotta have that. And now we're here and hopefully inspiring the next Slipknots and the next Triviums in the world. I keep seeing everyone saying that they want you on Twitch. I know I brought up a couple times, Twitch isn't asking me to ask you to do that. But if you ever want to, I would love to watch your stream. They are not. I swear they're not.
You know what? I tell you what, after our talk yesterday, like, it's definitely got me intrigued. It's like, because, you know, listen.
It's another thing.
I'm 46. I'm going to be 47. All
you're
right?
Young man. You're young looking man, though.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Don't feel so young.
I don't either.
But to me, Twitch was that thing that people play video games on. Like, so the education that you gave me is actually very intriguing, because it's something that maybe I can do instead of social media to be able to keep in touch with my fans, man. Mm-hmm. Because the whole reason that I took myself off of social media is the toxicity.
Yep.
It's so bad, and I just couldn't do it anymore.
What's amazing about Twitch and I'm not saying this as any exaggeration whatsoever. My channel, my chat every single day is 99% positive.
That's
99% positive.
that's
'Cause
I mean that's
it's
what
insane.
social media is supposed to be.
Yep,
You
it's
know, like
99. It's crazy. It's crazy. And you can set rules. You set people you trust. You've got a couple of Slipknot fans you've seen who've got fan clubs. You're like, all right, you're a moderator, you're a moderator, you're a moderator. Block
right,
bad stuff. Like I saw like one ban earlier because someone was like self-promoting their channel or something. But you build what you want out of it. And honestly, my channel would prefer if like I told you yesterday, they would prefer if I didn't play games. They would rather me just play music.
right.
And you talking about learning piano, like you even just setting up your cell phone and seeing their chat and you learning piano, as long so that way like you won't. What I like is practicing and not being alone. Like I have to, not all singers have to practice as much as I do, but I need to because I learned it wrong for 17 years. I have
Right.
to practice like 4 to 6 hours a day. Now I don't want to do that alone, but instead I'm doing that with people and people who want to support my family and I optionally. They don't have to, and it's that extra layer. It's for the true people that actually want to be with you. Like Facebook, Twitter, like it gets more and more negative as you go. Like I feel like it goes Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube as far as positivity, but Twitch is always up there.
Yeah, Instagram's pretty bad too, though. Like it,
Yeah, yours is
got-
big.
it
That's why.
got, it got
'Cause
bad.
it's so
You know
big.
why? It's because everything that I would say got turned into a news story. So then it just became, and all it was feeding that. What does Corey Taylor think? Beast. You know, when you wake up one day and you find yourself a meme, it gets really weird in my.
I've got one for you. I became the meme of no one eats till Matt Heafy eats. I don't know if you've ever heard that meme before. Yep. And what you have to do, you have to make it your own. I made it into a T-shirt. I made it into a thing that we talk about. But what it was, we were doing a tour. We were headlining in the States, 2006. We had this bastard tour manager. Like I didn't know he was being bad to the bands underneath us. Like that's the thing. Like when you're starting off, you don't always know. When you're a band our size, your size, you know, and you get rid of them when you see it. One of my favorite singers of all time, his side project band was opening up. They just finished a drive cross country for this show, and he went up to go catering. It was probably just lunch meat. Grabbed something. He's about to put it in his mouth. The tour manager goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Nobody eats till Matt Heafy eats."
What?
This thing spread like wildfire. So if you add on that UK thing I told you about, where Trivium saying they're gonna be the next Metallica on magazine covers, plus that, our reputation was horrific until I think basically until that tour we did with you guys. Like that's when it finally fizzled out. The Shogun tour in 2009, you guys co-eating us. But I kept seeing that meme and it bugged the hell out of me. It's like, man, no one eats till Matt Heafy. I was like, it's the opposite. I always want to eat with everybody. I want everybody to share, just as you've seen. Like, I like to eat the same thing as everybody. I just took it as my own. I just made it into my own thing. So that the what does Corey Taylor think thing, if you start a Twitch, I would make that an emote immediately. I would make that an emoji instantly. I would make that a thing and take it as yours. Then it's no longer theirs anymore. That's the ultimate meme strategy. Just taking it, making it your own thing, and they're screwed. But yeah, like the U.S. press and the U.K. press, it's weird how much they try to go off negativity when what we could be doing instead, what they could be doing instead, is growing these genres and these good legitimate bands. And they only kind of like give crap to the legit bands, and the ones that are garbage, they just let do whatever they're going to do and promote garbage music. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Well, and you know why it is? It's because it's if you look at it over the years, it has become a reflection of press in general and what sells. Sadly, you know, honesty doesn't really sell anymore. Positivity doesn't really sell anymore. Garbage sells. So as long as you have social media and noise screaming and screaming and screaming, the press is going to basically just do that whole thing, and it disappears up into the clouds of ridiculousness.
The place where that stuff does work, and again, I'm going to sound like a spokesperson because I guess I am, because I feel like it did change my life. Streaming on Twitch actually did change my life. I am a better singer, screamer, guitar player, songwriter, frontman than I've ever been thanks to doing this. Because you set however many days you want to do. It's only the people that support you. It's only your solo project fans, your Stone Sour fans, and Slipknot fans. You bring them to your channel and you just do what you feel like. Hey guys, I'm going to play piano for 6 hours today. I don't feel like being alone. Come hang out with me. Sit your phone on top of your piano and just play. You don't have to play a single game once ever.
That's interesting. Okay. I think you've almost sold me on this. So now I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, it's just come hang out for our next morning stream. I don't know what time you get up. I get up early because the kids, but I do 9 a.m. and 3 p.m.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
make an account, hang out with us in here. People would freak out if just to see you in the channel and just like play Among Us sometimes or not, or just watch what we do, or like because all 4 of my guys are now on Twitch. Like I taught each of them how to start one up, and they all love it. It's just practicing and doing what you need to do by yourself with people that want to support you.
Okay. All right. I'll give it a shot.
Super fun. But I'm your dude if you have any questions. But so I guess we should wrap up. But this has been absolutely incredible chat. Corey, thank you so much for your time today. One more time, give us all the details about the show. All the details.
So, Corey Taylor, for or against him, but is available Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, and it is available for 72 hours. You can watch it. There's a pre-show that will happen with some interviews and some behind-the-scenes stuff. There's a very, very special intro for the show, and I don't want to give it away, but I couldn't believe that he actually did it, and it's so rad. That's all I'm going to say.
Awesome. I look forward to it.
And CMFT, the album, drops Friday, the same day. Remember, the show is the full album. Songs that I've written from Slipknot and Stone Sour, a bunch of covers that we love. You get to watch Jason's hair melt in the heat. It'll be rad. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be rad. I'm telling you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I can't wait to watch it. Corey, thank you so much for everything. I hope to talk to you soon. It's been absolutely amazing to talk to you.
Oh, thanks, man. It's good to talk to you. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much, Corey. You take care.
Later, guys. Later.
See you later. Well, there it was, my friends. There it was, my friends. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Corey Taylor. That was freaking great.